Ladies, welcome to the Feminine Mystery. My name is Azalea Dawn, and on my channel I talk about leveling up, femininity, elegance, and everything that you need to attract the right masculine provider for you. If that sounds right for you, then please check out the rest of the videos on my channel and subscribe if you like it. And if you're coming back here after having subscribed, welcome back. Love that. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to be talking all about the beliefs that sabotage you in dating and how changing your mindset can lead to really changing your results. To get into this a little bit at the beginning, your mindset is so important and so critical. I know that it can sound like a little bit frou-frou, a little bit like, this doesn't really seem like work, but it really is the biggest work that you can do when it comes to getting yourself the results that you want in your level up in femininity journey, because your mindset is going to dictate the kind of action that you take in your life. Your beliefs are like the roadmap that guide you to where it is that you want to be. If you don't believe that something is possible, then you don't really try. You don't really put in the work, put in the effort to make something happen. When you don't really believe that it's possible, because it's a little bit silly to do that. Whereas once you shift your beliefs and you start to understand oh, this is possible, oh, this can very easily be done, this is how I do that, that's when you become motivated to really start taking massive action. And that action will come with results, and the result feeds you back into taking further action, right? So it's just kind of like a cyclic effect that just compounds over time. So changing your beliefs can have a huge return on the kind of results that you see in every aspect of your, level up journey. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit in the context of dating. So if that sounds right for you, then keep watching and let's get into it. Now, the first limiting belief is that there's not enough good men or not enough quality men out there. The truth is that there is more opportunity for women to marry wealthy men today than there has ever been before in human history. Now, to contextualize that a little bit, some of you may know, but if you don't, newsflash, the Earth, the human population on this planet, just hit recently at the time that I'm making this video, around 8 billion people, right? There are literally billions, and billions is a magnitude of order more than millions, right? There are billions of people on this planet. And even if only 0.1% of those people were millionaires, let's say, that's an extremely, an underestimate, that would still be millions, plural, of millionaires. And all of these people congregate in the same places nowadays. They're all going to these affluent destinations all across the planet where you also have access. You can also take yourself there. You can network with these people. You can meet these people thanks to technology, thanks to things like air travel, right? If you were to think about, life maybe a couple hundred years ago, for instance, especially in the context of places like Western Europe, where there was a lot of wealth that existed in the world at that time through colonialism, right? Wealth was incredibly centralized. There were basically royals, people who were born into wealth and affluence and luxury. They lived in these huge lavish mansions. They had everything that was available to be had at the time at their disposal. They would maybe have a court of people, think Bridgerton, maybe a town of people around them that kind of served as the high society. And then everybody beyond that was basically a peasant, not to mince words and be cast aspersions. I mean in a literal sense, a peasant, right? They were people who were hand to mouth, working the land. They were just working to survive every day of their life. And the social class that you were born into at that time was a social class that you stayed in. Nowadays, we have an incredible amount of class mobility. You can come from just about anywhere and you can network your way, you can work your way into the affluent social scene. Anybody can do this. There are people who come from the most destitute of circumstances, the most destitute of places, from Eastern Europe to, places, I don't want to like get political, but you know, there are people from very like hard backgrounds and hard situations, and you can see these girls who are living luxury lifestyles now in Dubai, in Monaco, in Paris, right? Because they have worked their way to get there. And if you are somebody who already has an advantage, let's say you are listening to this from your phone on your couch in the United States, you already have a lot more advantage than a lot of people who have managed to climb up from a much lower place in the social ladder than you. The success that you want is very much achievable, and you just have to start to understand that, like really start to understand that there really are people, you know, millionaires, very wealthy men who just like anybody else are looking for love, and you can be that. It is very possible. So you should let that really guide you to take the most action that you can and really invest yourself into a luxury level up. And even if you're not somebody who wants to marry necessarily like a millionaire, billionaire, you know, ultra millionaire, whatever, okay, well, maybe there's just like a quality of man that you want. Maybe there's just, you know, like some abstract, you know, some sort of like quality, and that is even more abundant, right? Think about the fact that if somebody is able to, you know, like date a guy who's like worth 500 million and get him to marry her, right? If somebody is able to do that, why can't you have whatever it is that you're looking for? The next limiting belief that I think is really important to work through is the idea that you just can't meet quality men nowadays because there's so many time wasters. But a store adding more sweets to their shelves has nothing to do with you choosing a salad. Right? Now, I really want you to think about this and like think about like that in like the sense of like a literal grocery store. If you're somebody who is committed to healthy eating, who is committed to maybe you live like a plant-based lifestyle or something like that, or you just eat really clean, you know like what your grocery habit is like. You might go to like your grocery store, whether it's like a Whole Foods or a Ralph's or whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that's like the chain in the area where you live, maybe like HEB, whatever. But like when you go into the store, you know where you're going. You know that you're headed straight to the produce aisle. You're headed straight towards fresh, real, natural food, leafy green vegetables, color. You're headed towards things that came out of the earth. You want a plant-based lifestyle, and that's what you're going to eat. You know where that is, and that's where you're headed. You go and you pick up all of what you are going to get, like all of the produce that you're interested in, and then you leave. Like you check out and then you leave. What is on all of those other shelves, all of those like middle shelves where they keep like the processed food, all of the cakes and the sweets and the pastries and the crackers, the chips, all of those like processed like food products? They can keep adding and adding and adding. They can add more shelves, more aisles. They can add, you know, tons and tons of more options, which stores are obviously. And for somebody who is committed to a plant-based lifestyle, that has no impact on them because they're not eating that. Like they are not going over there. There's nothing over there for them to eat. They don't need any sort of like processed, sugary junk food. They're not going to eat that. Like no matter like how many like options there are, they don't find that tempting. They're not interested. In the same way, when you really like shift your mindset to that in terms of dating, it does not matter like where you are or like what's like going on around you. When you are not interested in low quality men, it doesn't matter how like numerous they are, right? It doesn't matter how many are there, here, there, wherever. When you know where what you want is, which is a wealthy man, which is a high quality man, which is an affluent man who is a generous masculine provider, right? You know where people like that congregate. You know where they go. You know where you can go to find them, right? It is of no interest to you what is on all the other shelves, right? All of these like low value men can be like here or there. They can be like constantly just doing whatever it is that they do where they go. They can be talking to women in dog parks and trying to pick up random girls in the gym and like whatever sort of like tricks that they're up to, and you're not interested in that. You have nothing to do with the plethora of like low value men in the world. So it doesn't matter how many of them there are. Once you have divested from that, once you're no longer interested, it's just not going to do anything for you. The next limiting belief that I think is really important to work through is the idea that you have to be perfect. The truth is that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. You have to start and then keep going, right? So a lot of people, you overestimate the amount of competition you have, but you underestimate the quality of that competition, right? Just because there are, a ton of people who have access to information, there are very, very few people who actually act on that information. So if you see that, for example, you're maybe on my channel and I make a video that's okay, these are the hottest places to do winter this year, very few people are actually going to take their money and invest in going there to meet other people and to network, to get their name out there, right? A lot of people just consume stuff and they don't actually take action. So when you are an action taker, you're already in the top, you're in the 99th percentile. You're somebody who is literally going to take action. You're going to get the results as a result of taking action. So don't think that you have to take action perfectly, or that you have to do every single thing the perfect way. You just starting and doing something is going to put you ahead of a vast majority of people, right? Just thinking about it, just having a little bit of strategy and just putting in the effort, that's going to get you to where you want to go. If you, for example, really want to meet a certain type of quality guy, and you see something this kind of person might frequent this area, maybe you can get your foot in the door here and start to let people know who you are, know what you might be looking for, right? Once you start taking action in that way, you're going to start to see massive results, and that's going to fuel you into more action. So don't think that you have to do something perfectly. The most important thing is that you do it at all. Now, the final limiting belief I think that you can really work through to see more success is the idea that your relationships have to last forever in order for that relationship to have been a success. In reality, relationships don't have to last forever for them to benefit you. Everything has its season, right? So I actually saw this thing by Mel Robbins where she was talking about, seasons and why it is that when we're hiking around and we see trees that are releasing their leaves, why that actually happens, right? The idea that the tree has to instinctually make this choice, essentially, that it has to let go of its leaves, because if it keeps those leaves, the leaves will literally suck all of the water out of the tree, and the tree will not be able to survive winter. So that's why trees shed all of their leaves, and we see all of those pretty fall colors, right? That is literally just a survival mechanism from trees, right? They have to release things because those things no longer serve them in the season of their life where they're headed, and they eventually sprout new leaves. So everything has its own cycle. In the same way, relationships in today's society, they are simply optional for most people. Contrary to popular belief, if you are somebody who is looking to date or marry a wealthy man, there's a big difference between you probably and a gold digger, right? There are lots of real gold diggers, they don't have any skills, they can't work a job, they don't have any education, they're from some country somewhere in the world, and they're not going to be able to do anything besides, what they do with this person. I'm thinking of a certain person who may or may not have been the first lady of the United States, for example. But I don't want to get political here, because I'm not trying to shade anyone. I'm just saying that is the reality of the situation. If you are somebody who you're a woman, you probably have a degree, you probably have had some career somewhere doing something, you can always get another job. You're not a gold digger for wanting to marry an affluent or wealthy man. You are definitely somebody who once you want to leave a relationship, you can do that. You can just go back to working. So a relationship really just has to benefit you. You have to get something out of that relationship, and you also have to be providing value because it's mutually beneficial. You need to give in order to get. So that is essentially the cycle of things. And a lot of times when that value stops, when somebody either stops wanting the thing that somebody else can provide, or that somebody just stops providing the thing that somebody else wants, a relationship will end. And that's just the nature of things. So I would say don't be scared of that, if you want to increase your net worth, if you want to increase, like maybe the amount of social opportunities that you have, if you want to get to know other people, all of these are really good reasons to have relationships and to date and put yourself out there. Not everybody wants something that is forever, so don't be shy about that. Now, ladies, that's it for me today. If you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like below and check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Until next time, I'll see you then.